So, for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about finding refuge. I don't know about you, but I could use some refuge right now as I look around at what's going on in the world. So, William James once said, "All religions and spiritual traditions start with the cry, 'Help!'" Yeah, we all need that. We all need that. I love Anne Lamott said, if you just learn 3 prayers in your life, it'll be enough. Help, thanks, and wow. Right? Help, being able to realize that of our human selves, we don't have the answers, but there is help. There is help. And like it says in The Color Purple, sometimes you have to look for it, you have to ask for it, you have to be open to it. It's always there. And thanks, because it is always there, and when you see it, you can't mistake it. And wow, because it's awe-inspiring. The word refuge means a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. I need some refuge. So what is the danger? What is the trouble? Uncertainty. It's a big one. Change, loss, which brings us insecurity. It makes us anxious. And then so the question is, how do we respond to that? Beautiful Buddhist teacher Tara Brach says, she says this prayer, "Please may I make peace with this. May I love life no matter what. Please may I make peace with this. May I love life no matter what." So when we need this refuge, when we need this safety from or shelter from pursuit, danger, trouble, to what do we turn is the question. And there are all kinds of false refuge. We turn to lots of things. False refuge. You can tell if it's false if it's completely temporary. Okay? Oreos are a refuge. But after you swallow, you need another one. Right? Temporary refuge. Alcohol. Drugs. As soon as they wear off, the refuge is gone. You need more. We find refuge sometimes in relationships with other people, but other people are not responsible for us. And they live their own lives, and they go their own way, and sometimes we lose them altogether to death. We find refuge in TV, in shopping, in scrolling, in watching TikTok video one after another, after another, after another. I sometimes find refuge in worry and obsession. It gives my mind something to do. Right? How many of you are doing that? Or in planning, or in complaining, gathering people who agree with you in the complaint. But does that actually bring you any safety, any feeling of safety? It distracts you for the moment. That's what false refuge does. It distracts you for the moment or the hour or the day, for however long you can maintain doing that distraction. But the moment it's over, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. So in Buddhism, they talk about the 3 jewels. And that is refuge in 1, the Buddha, 2, the Dharma, and 3, the Sangha. So refuge in the Buddha. Why do you take refuge in the Buddha if you're not Buddhist? Well, you don't. Well, first of all, Buddhists don't believe necessarily in God. And Buddha is not their God. Buddha is their way shower. And when they say refuge in the Buddha, what they mean is refuge in the Buddha nature. Refuge in that within us that knows there's something bigger going on. Another way of saying Buddha, Dharma, Sangha is awareness, truth, and community, connection. Right? So those are 3 ways of looking at these 3 jewels. The one, you can put your awareness, take refuge in the one, in knowing that we're actually all one. And that what is going going on in the world is a disease of the one body, perhaps. And it's a disease that there are many, many antibodies right now, forming to fight or forming to get rid of. So our question for us, my question for myself on a daily basis is, am I part of the disease or am I part of the antibody? And the disease is not love, and the antibody is love, always. So taking refuge in awareness, what does this actually mean? The Buddha is the higher power, without time, without conditions. It is the presence, it is the one, it is spirit. It is all of those names that Daniel names in the song, and no name at all. It doesn't really matter, but it's your inner self. It's that God that Alice Walker spoke of so beautifully that's in everyone. It's not, you can't look at God apart from you. There is no, this is God. It's all God. It's a huge thing to get your mind around. But any moment that you can remember that, or just remember there's more going on than what there looks like. All I can see with this human eyes is the activity of this human world. But there is that within me that knows. Have you ever watched yourself do something and gone, you know you shouldn't be doing that. That's going to really hurt. And yet you keep doing it? The you that keeps doing it is the ego. And the part of you that goes, that's going to really hurt, but if you want to do it, go ahead. That's your awareness. That's all it is. That's your awareness. That's your higher self. That's your connection to all it is. So that's all that it means taking refuge in the Buddha, taking refuge in a higher awareness. You don't have to know what is going on, but you can know that something higher is going on. That's why it's very, very important to ask yourself, what is God to you? You don't have to believe in this church, you don't have to believe in God. But it sure helps to believe that there is something other. I don't think you would be here if you didn't believe there was something other than what it just looks like in this world. And if you don't believe there is, they're still welcome. We love you. What I have found is that my life works better when I believe and act as if there is a higher power working in the world and in my own individual life. My life works better. So all the proof I need is the practicality of it. All I know is that when I shelter in, it isn't just what it looks like, there is more. When I take a step back, when I live in my awareness for even a moment, the complaining and the obsessing and the worrying and the need to find refuge in other things is relieved. So how do you continually find refuge in that? Well, you remind yourself over and over and over and over again. Beautiful teacher Michael Singer talks about low-hanging fruit. There are circumstances and situations in your life that cost you nothing, that it's all, or that's all cost and no benefit. All cost and no benefit. Getting mad in traffic, all cost and no benefit, right? You're not actually instructing them on how to be better drivers. They can't hear you. You're not actually even cussing them out because they don't know that you're doing that. All you're doing is creating strife and enmity and anxiety and anger within yourself. And so that's all cost, no benefit. Are you willing to give it up? Are you willing to give it up? All cost, no benefit. So just when it happens, and it's going to happen, take a step back and go, I'm aware that my ego is doing this. And I have a choice. And just the awareness itself is refuge. Just the awareness itself makes you stop believing it as the whole truth and gives you a step back from it, which gives that space, that inner space that is the Buddha. That inner space between you and what's going on in your ego and how it's reacting to the stimulus of the world. Other low-hanging fruit. the past. I have a friend that says, I finally gave up on having a better past. You can't fix it. It's already over. You can learn from it. You can choose to do better or do different. But if it's in the past and you are causing, as Don Miguel Ruiz says, who's wounding you now? You are causing your own wounds. I like Nancy says sometimes when she gets upset about something, she'll say, I hurt my own feelings. Not you hurt my feelings, but I hurt my feelings. Because really, you don't have the power to hurt my feelings, only I do. That's awareness. That's Nancy in the moment, instead of pushing out with your ego, taking hold of the awareness within herself and saying, that was me. And I can choose. I can choose about that. So anything that's in the past, when you find yourself ruminating, chewing your cud, right? That's what it means, chewing it over and over and over again, right? When you find yourself chewing up the past over and over and over again, just take a moment and go, oh, low-hanging fruit. This is all cost to me. No benefit. It costs me in blood pressure. It costs me in stress. It costs me in anxiety. It costs me in the attitude with which I'm going to face the rest of the day. It costs me in time. How much time do we spend ruminating on the past? How much time you're going to spend trying to change a conversation that you already had? I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, that's what I should have said. But what refuge in the Buddha means is I can take that moment to be aware. Oh yeah, that's over. And what he says, and Michael Singer again, what he says, when you find this low-hanging fruit, when you find this all-cost, no-benefit situation, the only thing you have to do is recognize it and then consciously relax your body. Right? You can't make your mind stop, but you can consciously relax your body. Well, put your shoulders down. Take a deep breath. Now you have begun a pattern of remembering when you're in an all-cost, no-benefit situation and relaxing about it instead of continuing to ruminate about it. Now, you've had a pattern of ruminating for your whole life probably, so it's going to take a lot of practice, right? It's going to take a lot of practice to do that relaxing thing, but I've been doing that. It's just like I get upset. Now, not every time. I'm just unconscious a lot, most of the time, but lately I've been consciously trying to do this, and I'll get upset about something, and I'll go, okay. It happened in the past. Nothing I can do about it. Or someone else is doing it and there's nothing I can do. Or a lot of someone else's are doing it and I'm confused about what is mine to do. Then I can relax in knowing I can't make them change. And then I can ask the question, what is mine to do? What is mine to do? And from that spaciousness, from that awareness, then the what is mine to do has a chance of getting in. Whereas when I'm in the ego, when I'm in the anger, when I'm in the ruminating, whatever comes to me about what's mine to do is going to be based upon that, chances are. And probably useless because we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. Rumi says, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Do you want to be clever or do you want to be wise? We want to be clever. I know we do. That's why we keep going through that conversation with a better comeback. But you can ask yourself, would I rather be wise? Would I rather be wise? So this is just anything that's not your, as soon as it's angry, as soon as it's triggered, as soon as it's creating that stuff in you, you know that's your ego. Because awareness cannot be touched by the things of this world. That inner space cannot be touched by the things of this world, but you can certainly jump with both feet into the things of this world and forget that there even is that inner space. So how do? You spend some time getting to know that inner space. You might call it getting to know God. You might call it meditation. You might call it getting in touch with the love in yourself. You might call it understanding that you are part of the one whole. You can call it anything you want to. There is a lot of scientific evidence behind the fact that 12 minutes a day, 12, you've heard 20, you've heard an hour, 12 minutes a day of quiet reflection, of being in that relaxed place, of creating an inner space within yourself, can transform your life in effect, not just in cause, but as soon as we change cause, y'all, effect is changed. 12 minutes a day, are you willing? For 12 minutes? Let's do 12 minutes. And in that 12 minutes, we cultivate the awareness. We simply say, I'm resting in the presence of love, the presence of power, the presence of the divine, whatever you want to call it. Be the observer. When the ego world starts doing its thing, go, yeah, that's true. And boy, is that stirring up stuff in my ego, but the ego is not me. The fact that I can say, I'm doing this, means that's not me, right? Take a step back from that. Practice mindfulness. Focus on the present. Be here now. Listen. Listen when someone else is speaking, perhaps, instead of formulating what you're going to say. Listen when you ask a question to your awareness. Be in that space and listen to what your awareness has to say. Your ego's got a lot to say. It's always talking. But there is that part of you that knows more than your ego. The other thing that you can do to cultivate this refuge in the Buddha is to be grateful. To look around and notice, really see what there is to see, hear what there is to hear, and appreciate it. There is always so much beauty going on. Always. The fact that you can think this world is a piece of crap is something to be grateful for, because your brain is working. Your eyes are working, your ears are working, you're observing things. So you could put your attention on the thing that you think is a piece of doo-doo, or you can put your attention on, I have a mind that thinks, how do I want to use it? Thank you, God, for this mind that thinks. Help me to use this mind for good and for love in this world. The moment you say, help me, the moment you say help, you are taking refuge in the Buddha. You're admitting, my ego doesn't have it figured out. Until then, you're probably just drilling down harder with your ego. You're just digging a hole and you're getting deeper and deeper and wondering why you're not getting anywhere except deeper. So be grateful. Ask for help when you need it. Ask for help when you need it. Know that you're not alone. No matter how alone you feel in the moment you can get into, my ego is feeling lonely. I am not my ego. I am one with all that there is. Relax into it, breathe into it, and see if your aloneness doesn't turn into something else. There is connection there. Ask the question, is there something higher than me? If you can't believe in God, is it possible that there's something higher than me? Is it possible that that something that's higher knows something that I, in my little ego self, with my limited vision, doesn't know? Nature. That's a good way to go out and find your inner space, is to be in some quiet outer space. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But with practice, it gets easier all the time. And the last thing I want to say is, if you still have trouble believing that there is something greater, I'm going to ask you to borrow my belief. Yeah, you don't have to have your own. You can borrow someone else's. You can rest on the idea that Melinda has decided that this is true. So I'm just going to let her do that for me. Because the moment you do that, you've let go of your ego. You've let go. You're in awareness at that moment. Yeah, You can borrow someone else's belief. And you don't have to figure it out. You don't have to figure out exactly what you do believe. You just have to know that there is something. And the moment that you truly know that there is something, you are taking refuge in the Buddha, refuge in awareness, refuge in the one love. Thank you. So today, instead of our usual meditation, I'm going to spend a few minutes with our annual recommitment ceremony. So, we recommit to three things. We recommit to spirit, first of all, and then to ourselves as we recognize that we are spirit, and then to our relationships as we recognize that spirit is in all of our relationships as well. And when I say relationship, I'm not necessarily talking about a spouse. It could be your mother. It could be your best friend. It could be this church community. It could be any number of things. It could be your relationship with your dog. Mine could use some help. I still get mad at her sometimes. She's 14. She has cancer. I still get mad at her sometimes. That's the lowest hanging fruit you can have. Right? All right. So, let's take a deep breath, everybody, and just join me in this spaciousness. Try to contact that inner space, that space within. And as we take this time to recommit to love in our lives, we become willing to extend ourselves beyond any complacency, to be conscious and intentional with our love. We open our hearts to larger possibilities, and we live more freely. We love more fully. We express greater joy, and as we do so, we experience true peace. So first, we recommit to spirit. Beloved Spirit, you are love. My source and my substance. I am born of you, and you are all of me. I live and move and have my being in oneness and perfection beyond any thought of separation. Too often I forget this truth and try to move through this world as if I were alone, and this causes me pain. Today I dedicate myself to remembering I am never alone. I am one with the one presence, the one power, the one energy that is love itself. And in that oneness, I am loving, powerful, worthy, and never alone. I give in this moment my full consent to the movement of spirit in me, through me, as me. Repeat after me. I choose spirit. I choose to remember love. I recommit myself to the one love. Let's breathe that in for a moment. And as we allow ourselves this connection with the one love, as we remember, then it becomes much easier to recommit to ourselves the most important relationship in our lives and the one we are most likely to forget. Beloved self, as I say these words, fill in your name. Get in touch with yourself here. You're the form I took on at birth and the eternal spirit before, after, and beyond form. Beloved self, sometimes I lose sight of how precious is my spirit and my body. I forget my own worthiness and neglect to extend myself for my own growth and good. Today, I remember. I recognize that I am a treasure, whole, beloved, and deserving of all good. I am consistently kind to myself and allow the wholeness of spirit to shine in, through, and as me. Repeat with me. I choose myself. I recommit to loving me. Breathe that in and let it be the truth for you. From this place of wholeness, we come to other relationships with the best of ourselves. So whatever relationship that is, we're going to recommit to another person or people, maybe a family or a family member, a spouse, a friend, anyone with whom we wish to renew and deepen our connection. Beloved, name the relationship. I chose you. I saw your true beauty and I discovered my own beauty in your presence. To you, I give and receive love, support, and true intimacy, a safe place to be vulnerable, to be me. At times I forget who you are and who I want to be in your presence. I fail to appreciate the priceless value of our connection. So today I rededicate myself to this relationship, to fully loving and accepting love. I am here to remember and to remind you of who you are, whole, complete, beautiful. Repeat with me as you think of the relationship or relationships that you want to rededicate yourself to. I choose you. I recommit myself to loving you. Breathe that in. And know that activity always follows intention. And by expressing these intentions today, we have informed our awareness of who it is that we are and who we choose to be. And so we are grateful. We are grateful that this is done in spirit and in truth. And so it is. Amen.